Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it took me most of the day to actually just do the slides and videos, but I couldn't figure out a way to condense them. How so, Ethan? Did it not tell you which ones are wrong, or does it just give you a score? Yeah, so we got this tree here, and we know that if we're removing a node with 2 children, we can only replace it with either the successor or the predecessor. So what this means is, again, for node 54, if we were trying to think about its predecessor or its successor, for its predecessor, we go left once and then right as many times as we can. For its successor, we go right once and then left as many times as we can. So again, it's node 54's successor, the one that comes after it, is going to be right once, then left, 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 which is 57. If we were asking for its predecessor, it would have been 53, because we would have gone left once, and then we can't go right, so it is just 53. In terms of 47, where's 47? Oh, it's up here. Again, if we want to get its predecessor, we're going to go right once and then left as many times as we can, which is going to get us to 44. So now this other one was kind of getting you to think about, okay, to get to node 12, if it's a predecessor, it meant it had to go left once and then right, 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 right. So where would we have gone left once and then a whole bunch of rights to get to 12? So we know we would have had to go left as far as we can go and then right once. So again, what makes sense is from 19, we would have had to go left once and then right as far as we can. So it makes sense that that's going to be 19. 53, on the other hand, again, where did we have to go right once and then left, 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 left? That would be from 47. Yeah, exactly, Owen. So node 79 is what? So node 79 is here. And this one's kind of a trick question. Because again, it's not something it's clearly not a predecessor because it's not as far right as possible. So I guess the next question is it as far left as possible? And again, we see that it actually is as far left as possible after we go right once from 63. So it is actually the successor of node 63. And if node 19 is removed, it can either be replaced by one left and right, 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 or one right and left, 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 which tells me that that's going to be node 12 or 23. Does this make sense? Yeah, I'll do that at another time. It's probably best to email me as opposed to asking me in the middle of lecture, Yuyan. What about predecessor of 91 for 79? No. Again, predecessor is always, again, when you're removing a node, you're going down from that node. So although in order of traversal, it does come before it, that's slightly different. So I think that's why it's a little bit dangerous to do it Owen's way. But I think, again, with Owen's way, again, if you're removing a node that has 2 children, then, again, the only 2 nodes you can replace it with are the ones, in terms of if you ordered these in order, the one that's one number, the next number greater than it, or the previous number less than it. So, again, if we think about all these numbers, 7, 10, 12, 19, 23, 30, 32, 37, 41, 44, again, and this is kind of how we visit these in order of traversal, we see that 30 comes before 32, which comes before 37 in terms of the order, and then followed by 41, then 44. So again, the in order, if we visit these items in order, it'd be 23, then 30, then 32, then 37, then 41, then 44. So the two nodes we can replace 32 with are actually the numbers that come right before it and right after it. And that has to be the case because, again, if we replace it with 30, we kind of get rid of this 30 down here. And if we put it up here, we see that now, again, all of the nodes over here are still less than 30, and all the nodes over here are still greater than 30. And the only two nodes that we can actually make that replacement and maintain our binary search tree property are the 30 and the 37. So similarly, if I replace it with 37, all the nodes over here are less than 37, and all the nodes over here are greater than 37. But if I replace it with any other node, that wouldn't be the case. So, I mean, let's say we replaced it with, let's say we made that connection and replaced it with 23. If we put a 23 up here, yeah, it's great. All these are greater than 23, but all of these are not less than 23. Sorry, are not less than 23, because we see 30 is over here in its left subtree. We see that this is great, but 30 cannot be to the left of 23. So it actually turns out the only two nodes that we can replace it and maintain the binary search tree property is by its successor or predecessor. Does that make sense? And I guess recursively, how you do this is that when you remove a node, when you find it, you say, okay, if this has two children, then I'm going to, again, find its predecessor or successor, remove that, and then put that node right where I am. So you can recursively call remove on the subtree to remove the maximum value in the subtree, or the minimum value in the right subtree. So it makes the recursive remove not actually that bad. Any other questions? So I know in 115, I was looking through the previous few terms of 115, and it seems like there's actually kind of multiple weeks dedicated to binary search tree, well, trees and binary search trees. Is it the same for 116? Do you actually spend quite a bit of time working with some on trees and labs and assignments? Thought there was some 116 people typically here. You don't recall doing much with them? Okay. Okay. Well, we'll get some practice, I believe, in some of the upcoming labs, and we'll do a little bit of stuff today in the worksheet. So we'll start off with some traversals, and then we will get into some kind of analysis. And again, we can spend another day with trees if we need to. Did you do traversals in 116? You did, okay. So what I'll do is maybe I'll do an in order. So everyone should be kind of familiar with this traversal. And I'm not sure, again, these can be taught in a lot of different ways. I'm just gonna make these I'm going to do one in red, one in purple, one in blue. And how I typically do this is I just kind of draw an outline around the whole tree. And there's a whole bunch of different ways of doing this. But this allows us to easily get, do all the different traversals. So for an in-order traversal, all we have to do is, as we kind of follow this path here again, and maybe I should say this path is starting here and it's going here, and we're just doing this path that is always kind of going in this direction. So we're starting here and we're going down and around and visiting all the different, going past all the different nodes. And with an in-order traversal, every time we pass the bottom of a node during this path, we write it in. So again, we're starting up in the top left. Let me actually just write all the bottoms in. So we're starting in the bottom left here, and okay, I think people can see my spotlight. So we're starting up in the top. We're kind of following this green path down, and then eventually we get to the bottom of the 6. So that's going to be the first number we're going to visit in our in-order traversal. Now we're going to keep following this path, and we see the divided by. So that's going to be the next number we see in this traversal. Now we're going to keep going. Then the next item we get below is the 5. So we're going to put the 5 here. We keep going. Now we get below the subtraction sign, the minus. We're going to keep going. Now we get below the 3. Now we're going to keep going for a long time. The next node we get below on this path is the actual root, the multiply. We're going to keep going. Now we get below the 1. Keep going, we get below the plus. Keep going, we get to the 4. And now we're going to keep going, and we see that we get to the end. So that's one way of doing the in-order traversal. It's just when you get below them. And pre and post order are very similar. We follow the same path, but for pre-order, it's when we go to the left of the node. And post order, it's when we go to the right side. So again, for pre-order, we're going to start at the very top again, and we're going to see that, oh, we first went to the left of this multiply, then we can keep going, then we went to the left of the divided by, then we can keep going, oh, now we're on the left of the 6, then we can keep going, now we're on the left of the minus, we can keep going, now we're on the left of the 5, we can keep going, now we're on the left of the 3, we can keep going, now we are on the left of the plus. We can keep going, now on the left of the 1. We can keep going, now on the left of the 4. Does it make sense what I'm doing? Can people follow along with how I'm actually doing this process of following this path and just seeing when I'm on, again, essentially passing either the left side or the bottom of the node? Okay, great. So then I can do the last one a little bit more quickly. But again, the post order is just when you go to the, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. The left side is, the post order is just when you go to the right side. When you go to the right side here. So again, as we follow this path, the first item we get to the right side of is the 6. Then again, we're going to go down, around, and then we get to the 5 next. Then the 3, then the minus, then the divide, then the 1, then the 4, then the plus, and then finally the multiply. So again, we actually don't get to the multiply until we're all the way here at the end. Pre-order. So all these have different applications. We'll talk about in order and post order. Pre-order, can anyone think of why this pre-order might be useful? So pre-order, what it does is it goes down all the way to the end of one path. It keeps going. Let's keep going left until I get to the end. Then I'll go down. The next one, go all the way left, and I'll go to the next one, go all the way left, and it kind of keeps going down. And this is also called a depth first search. And an application where this is useful, again, just a really quick one, is, we'll see this with graphs later, but also I'm just trying to draw some sort of weird maze here. How this works is, in a maze, if we are trying to, I don't know, get to the finish down here, essentially what a depth first search does is it says, let's try and do one path until we get to the end. Then we'll try the next path. Then we'll try the next path. Then we'll try the next path, and then we'll get it. So it is actually effective in doing certain types of searches where you want to go down all the way down one branch and see if that works. And if not, try a different branch. So there are applications for it. It's just, for trees, they're not as much, but what we'll see is we're going to need to remember how to do this process when we get to graphs, because there are some graph applications where you're going to want to do this breadth first. Check all the way down this first branch, and if that works, great. If not, we'll try the next option. But again, so I kind of drew out this weird picture here to do these traversals, and we'll get to level order shortly. But another thing I wanted to talk about is how to actually implement them. So again, if we've got some in-order traversal that takes, again, as a parameter, some node, and we'll probably start it with the root. What we can do for the in-order traversal, we can say, okay, well, I want to go left first. So I'm going to say, let's go in order with ends left first. Then I can visit this node. Then I'll visit its right subtree. So we think about how that's going to work. We're going to say, okay, I'm going to start the root. Before I visit the root, I'm going to go and visit its left subtree. Before I visit this, I'm going to go visit its left subtree. Before I visit this, I'm going to go do its left subtree. Now that I've finished its left subtree, I'm going to actually visit this 6. So now I visited this whole subtree. So now that I visited the left subtree of the divided by, I'm going to visit that node. Now I'm going to go and visit its right subtree. So I'm going to go down here. Before I visit this, I'm going to do its left subtree. Before I visit this, I'm going to do its left subtree. It's done. Now that I've done this, I can now visit the minus, and I'm going to visit its right subtree. Before I visit 3, I'm going to visit its left subtree. Then it's done. Now I've visited that. So now that I visited this whole left subtree of the multiply, I now visit the multiply. So yeah, the idea here is that this is very quickly and easily done recursively if we want to do this in order traversal. It's just saying visit all the items in my left subtree, then visit this node, and then visit all the items in the particular node's right subtree. And all 3 of these first traversals we've seen are very similar. For the pre-order, we saw that first we visited the root node, then we went to its left subtree, then we went to its right subtree. So again, for pre-order, we're going to say first visit the node, then visit its left subtree, then visit its right subtree. And for post order, we actually visited the left subtree first, then the right subtree, and then finally ended up at the node. So for post order, we say, let's visit the left subtree, then visit all the items in the right subtree, then we actually visit the current node. Does this make sense? So again, these 3 algorithms, when done recursively, are really quick and easy to traverse the tree. I guess we'd have a base case for all of them. If obviously if n's null, then we're not going to keep going left and right. We'll just break out of that particular method call. But other than that, in the as long as n isn't null, we're going to kind of do these 3 steps, and it's going to be very similar steps in all 3 of the different traversals, but just in a different order. Does this make sense? Yeah, okay, cool. Any questions so far? Okay, I'm going to zoom out and scroll out a little bit just for these next 2 parts. Should have just had it this size the whole time, but. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the level order, because we haven't done the level order yet, the last of the 3. Or the last of the 4. Typically, again, these are all very similar because they're really just they all have those same 3 operations. The order of them is just shifted. But for this is going to be slightly different. And how we're going to do the level order, again, we're level orders, we're just going to get all the nodes on this level, then this level, then this level, then this level, which we see, again, it's quite easy to see how to do this. Again, the top level is just the multiply. The second level is the divide, and then the plus. The third level is a 6, then a minus, then a 1, then a 4, and the last level is a 5, then a 3. So again, I just went from here, then I went down and I did this, then I went down and I did this, then I went down and I did this. So how we can implement this is we will start, we'll create an empty queue. We will add I guess, NQ the root. And we'll say while Q is not empty, we'll DQ, we will visit, and then we'll NQ left and right. I guess I could. NQ left and right. So let's work through this a little bit. So we've got some Q here. And let's think about the nodes that we visited. So we're originally going to NQ the root, which is this asterisk, the multiply. And then we're going to say, as long as this Q isn't empty, let's DQ it. So we're going to DQ this. Then we're going to visit it. We're going to visit it. Then we're going to NQ its left and right. So we're going to NQ its left and its right. So again, so now we're just going to kind of keep looping here. While the Q is not empty, let's DQ, which is going to DQ the divided by. Let's visit it. Then let's NQ divided by is left and right. So 6 and minus. The Q is still not empty, so let's DQ the plus. Let's visit it. And let's add the pluses left and right, which is 1 and 4. We're going to, the Q is not empty. Let's DQ. Let's visit the 6. Let's NQ 6's left and right. 6 doesn't have a left and a right, so we're not going to NQ anything here. The Q is not empty, so let's DQ the next one and visit it. Let's visit the minus. And then let's NQ its left and right, 5 and 3. While the Q is not empty, let's DQ and visit that node, the 1. Let's NQ its children, doesn't have any. The Q is not empty, let's DQ and visit the 4. NQ its children, 4 doesn't have any children. The Q is not empty, let's DQ the 5, visit it, and NQ its children, doesn't have any. Let's DQ the 3, visit it, NQ its children. Now the Q is empty, so we're done. And we see that the nodes we visited is the same as in that level order traversal. So again, it's typically not done recursively, and it's obviously not those same 3 steps that the other traversals have. But again, it's quite simple. It's really just quite a simple while loop that just says, while the Q is empty, output the item we DQ, or grab the item that we DQ, print it out, and then add its 2 children onto the back of the Q. Yeah, exactly. And we'll talk about that in a second. But does this kind of level order algorithm to I guess implementation make sense? Although it is in kind of pseudocode-ish type stuff. Cool. So obviously, I've kind of talked a little bit about what preorder is, but for preorder, we'll say that this is going to be useful when we get to graphs. Level order obviously is useful because that's how we represent the array contents in a heap, which is what Zachary just observed. But we'll also talk about why post order might be useful as well. How do you prove what down deep that's will always get the level order traversal correct? Just because you're starting here and you're saying now NQ both of these nodes. Then when you go here, you're going to NQ these nodes, and when you get here, you're going to NQ these nodes. So again, and then when you get here, you NQ these ones, and you NQ these ones. So again, you're just always NQing the nodes one level below. So it's always going to have you're always NQing it in the same order, level by level, as you go down the tree. Yeah, in this case, you'd probably want a queue. I guess we didn't really do it in a circular. You probably want a queue that is about the size of the array, because you're I guess depending on how big it is, typically for a while you're dequeuing one but adding two. So our post order was 6, 5, 3 minus divide 1, 4 plus multiply. Okay. So I also want to talk about an application of post order, or of the post order traversal as well. And this is something that I know some of you did in 115. Maybe depending on when you took 115, some of you may have done something similar in 116 as well. But the idea here is that we're going to start with this post order traversal. That's step one. Then we're going to just visit each of these items that we find in this traversal one by one and go left to right. So what we're going to do is we're going to visit this 6 first. And we're going to just push it into a stack. So let's just have a stack here. We're going to put the 6 into the stack. Then we're going to visit the next item, and we're going to push that to the stack. We're going to visit the third item and put that to the stack. So again, I'm just pushing items to the stack one by one. But now that I see we've got an operator, it says if it's an operand, push to the stack. Otherwise, pop 2 elements. So again, here I've seen this operator. So I'm going to pop 2 elements. I'm going to pop the 3. I'll put it on the other side. So I'm going to pop the 3 and the 5. And it's saying, let A be the first popped operand, which is the 3. Let B be this second popped element, and evaluate B operator A. So B 5 minus 3, which is 2, and push that result to the stack. So we know that what we want to do is this is going to be we want to now push a 2. So we're going to push a 2. So what we've done is we've popped 2. So I guess what our stack's going to look like next is going to be something like this. We've still got a 6 at the bottom, but now we've popped a 2 onto the top. We're going to keep going, and now we see, oh, the next one's not. The next one is also an operator. So again, I'm going to have to pop the 2 and the 6, and we're going to want to apply that operator to it, 6 divided by 2, and we're going to push that result to the stack. So we're going to push the 3. So now what our stack is going to look like after we had to pop these 2 is just a 3 at the bottom. And now we're going to visit the next item. It's a 1, so we can just push it. Now we're going to visit the next item. It's a 4, so we can just push it. Now we see we're at a plus again. So we're going to have to do that double pop again. We're going to have to pop the 4, pop the 1, and apply that operator, which in this case was a plus. 1 plus 4 is 5. So now we want to push the result back onto the stack. Which is going to get us a stack that looks like three still at the bottom, 5 on top, Now we're going to visit the last operator, which is the multiply, which means pop, pop. So we're going to, again, pop the 5, pop the 3, apply that operator, and that's going to push, oops, that will push a 15 to the stack, which will leave us with 15. And then now that we're done visiting all the items in this traversal, pop the final item and return it. So we're going to return 15. And if we think about this, so this is, I mean, a lot of calculators are implemented this way. And if we think about the other traversals, I mean, if we think about in order, we could have got the same result. Really what we wanted to do was we wanted to do 6 divided by 5 minus 3 times 1 plus 4. So we see that we could have, our in-order traversal, which is the way we would probably try to typically read this, kind of works if we add some parentheses. Right? And then we could just do regular order of operations where we do 6 divided by the result of 5 minus 3, 6 divided by 2 times the result of 1 plus 4. So 3 times 5 is 15. But the nice thing about post order and why it's used to implement calculators is you can, I guess the expression works without actually having to add any parentheses. So again, we're always going to evaluate lower items in the tree. Again, all the leaf nodes are our operands. All of the internal nodes are operators, and we know that we need to evaluate this before we can evaluate that. So again, we're always going to evaluate the result of the left subtree with the right subtree, and this is the operation we're going to apply to it. And we have to evaluate the lower operations first, so we know what that result is in order to eventually evaluate the top operation. Yeah, Polish is a name. I think postfix as well. So that's kind of one of the applications of post order. And again, I try to just come up with some shorter examples to do for these orderings. Any questions about this? We are running a little bit short on time, but I think we can do the next page, hopefully. No questions. Okay, I'll scroll down. I have a feeling we're not going to get too far in this, but we can try and cover a little bit more of it on Friday. So again, have you all had to implement a binary search before on an array? Yeah. Okay. So doing a binary search, essentially what we're doing is, the idea here is that I can represent this tree doing a traversal, the in-order traversal, which I think is what, I have to scroll up to see. Someone already commented on the fact that the level order traversal is how we represented a tree with an array for heaps. But the in order traversal is just going to get us this in order array, which is again just a sorted array. So, and I think previously all of you have done a binary search on this array, where the idea here is that we can, in a binary search of an array, we start with the middle element. So again, we'd probably call this binary search with the array. We want to find some number. We'll think about that in a second. And we probably start it with 0 and array.length -1. So our L is going to be here and our R is going to be here. And the idea here is that this L and R is the region of the array we're going to search through. And what we're going to do is we're first going to say, okay, let's make a mid, which is the index of, there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but L plus R divided by 2. So again, if we've got 0 plus 24 divided by 2, our mid is just going to be right here. And the idea with a binary search is that we can then say, okay, well, is the middle the value we're looking for? So is the array at that middle element equal to the value we're looking for to find? If so, we can return that index. But let's say we're looking for like 25. Let's say X is 25. In that case, we said, okay, is this the number we're looking for? No, it's not. So the way that a binary search tree is organized, we know that, again, all the items to the left are less than 47. All the items to the right are greater than 47. So if we're looking for a value 25, we know it's on the left side. So I can get rid of all these values on the right, which means I can get rid of, I don't have to look at any of these spots on the right side in the array. So if the array at mid, so if this value, I guess, is greater than to find, we know we can go left. So in that case, we know that the range I need to search at is just from L, is from, I guess, only from here to here now. Because we know it's going to be somewhere on that left side. So what we can do now is say, okay, well, now I know that I can just return whatever I find by calling a binary search on the same array. I still want to find the same item, but I now can only search from the left index all the up to the mid -1. So now I know that this is the thing I want to find. And let's make us go to the right next time. Maybe I want to look for, sorry, instead, let's say I want to look for a 44, not a 25. So again, 44, we still would have gone left. So now, again, what I've done is I've called this recursion, but now the array's left and right index I'm looking at is actually from here to here. So we're looking at a much smaller index. Now we're only going from here to here. So again, I can say, what's the middle of that range of indexes? What's 11 plus 0 divided by 2 is going to be index 5 here. This is going to be my new mid, because we're now kind of ignoring all this stuff over here. And I can say, is the mid what I'm looking for? No. Okay, well, is mid greater than the value I'm looking for? No, it's not in this case. So now we've got an else. So if the value is smaller, what we can do here is in the else, we'll say return. Why don't I do it over to the side? In the else, what we'll do is we'll say, well, let's return in the else, we'll say, well, let's return the binary search in the same array, looking for the same value looking for the same value, but the range I need to look for is actually now just to the right of the mid, up to the same right index. So what I've done here is I've said, okay, I know it's now bigger than 32, so I can ignore everything to 32 and to the left of it. So I want my new range to be from here up to here. So I'm saying, let's still find the same number in the same array, but my left index is now going to be this index, and we're still going up to the same right index. And we'll repeat this process until we get it. And again, and that's why the base case here is if L ever gets beyond R, so again, we've said I want to search a smaller region of the array, but there is no items left to search in that region. We know that we never found the item. So that returns in here. Then we've got the closing statement, and then this is kind of the end of. We're only ever looking at any values if the left side of the region that we're searching in the array is less than or equal to the right side. Any questions about this? Did you, when you did it beforehand, I guess you probably would have done it just with a while loop iteratively, but so I thought we'd see a recursive version as well. But the idea of this binary search is that, again, it gets rid of half the elements every time. So next time we can get rid of half the elements again, and then eventually we'll close in on just that item we're looking for. Okay, no questions. So yeah, let's say let's say we are looking for 40. So we looked, no, let's say we're looking for 40, I don't know, 43, something that doesn't exist. So what's going to happen is we would have then searched for 41. Then we would have said, okay, our new range is from this L to this R. And when we got the middle of 9 and our new middle of this next range would just be the new middle here between 9 and 11 is just going to be the 44. And then we know we're going to go left from here. So our new range is going to be, I'm going to cross out all these. Our new range is just going to be this single item. So when we say what's the middle index of 9 plus 9, so 9 plus 9 divided by 2 is just 9. We're going to say, okay, is 43 what? Which way do we go? Okay, we now know we want to go right. So what happened is we'd say, let's keep the same lower index. Or sorry, we want to go right. Let's make our left index go up by 1 and keep our same right. So what happened is we'd say, now this is the right index. The right index is still 9, but the left index is now going to go up 1 to 10. So when we called the recursion on that, we'd say, is left less than or equal to right? No, it wouldn't. So we're going to come down here and return -1 and say we couldn't find that element. So every time we close the gap by half the elements, when we get down to 1 element, we're going to close it down to 0 elements, and then we're going to say, okay, I just couldn't find it. So when it gets down to a single element, that is going to be the mid value. So if it's not, if we don't see it at that during that case, when it is the only value in that range, then the next recursive call, no matter if we try and go left or right, is going to return -1. Does that make sense, Leo? Cool. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll stop here. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about some runtime stuff to motivate the next unit we're talking about. But again, if some people are feeling a little bit rusty on some of the binary search tree stuff, we can revisit this a little bit on Friday and then get into the next unit as well, which is just an extension of binary search trees when we again are thinking a little bit about balance, and we can actually rotate elements within a binary search tree, which is kind of similar to what we did with our remove. So if there's, I can stick around for questions, but if not, I think now is probably an okay place to call it, and we'll continue on and progress from here on Friday.
Hey, Anthony, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just have a quick question. I know you said you're going to release the assignment yesterday. Do you know if you're going to release it today by any chance?
Yeah, the removal slides took me many more hours than I expected, so I wasn't able to finish it last night. I'm just working on the tester this morning, so I just want to make sure that the tester works before releasing it, just to be safe.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it should be hopefully without if nothing comes up in the next hour, I should hopefully be able to get it done and posted.
Okay. No, thank you.
But it'll still just be a week from whenever I release it. So at this point, I guess it'll be due next Wednesday. Any other questions? Yeah, thanks everyone.
The